The entire office fell silent when Rita walked into Apex Technologies with her 6-year-old daughter, Sarah, clinging to her trousers. The receptionist's mouth dropped open. The security guard shook his head. Even the office cleaner stopped mopping to stare. "Madam, this is not a nursery school," whispered Mrs. Doris, the HR manager, her voice dripping with embarrassment. "How can you bring a small child to a job interview?" Rita's cheeks burned with shame, but she stood her ground. "Please, Ma. My neighbour who was supposed to watch Sarah fell sick this morning. I have no one else. I really need this job." The other candidates in the waiting room began to murmur among themselves. Some laughed quietly, others shook their heads in pity. One woman even took her phone and did a short recording, probably to post on social media later with a caption like, "See what desperation looks like." Sarah, dressed in her faded school uniform, seemed unbothered by the stares. She swung her little legs from the chair and pulled out a small tablet from her mother's handbag, a cheap Android device Rita had bought second-hand from Computer Village. "Don't touch anything, Sarah," Rita whispered nervously. "Just sit quietly, okay?" But Sarah was already absorbed in the tablet, her tiny fingers dancing across the screen with surprising speed. 20 minutes later, Rita's name was called. She hesitated, looking at Sarah. "Go, Mummy," Sarah said without looking up. "I am fine here." Rita reluctantly followed Mrs. Doris into the conference room, leaving Sarah in the waiting area under the watchful eye of the receptionist, who clearly wasn't happy about babysitting duties. Inside the conference room, Mr. Dominic Thompson, the CEO of Apex Technologies, sat with 2 other executives. He was a tall, imposing man in his 50s, known throughout Lagos for his business empire and his zero-tolerance attitude toward unprofessionalism. "Mrs. Rita Felix," he began, not bothering to look up from her CV. "I see you have experience in data entry and customer service, but I must ask, what kind of judgment brings a child to a corporate interview?" Rita's heart sank, but she tried to explain. "Sir, I sincerely apologize. It was an emergency. My daughter is very well behaved, and it won't happen again if you give me this chance." Mr. Dominic finally looked up, his steel grey eyes cold. "This is exactly the kind of unprofessional behavior that—" Beep, beep. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the building. Red lights flashed on every floor. The executives' phones started buzzing frantically. "What's happening?" Mrs. Donis gasped. Mr. Dominic grabbed his phone. His face went pale as he listened to whoever was on the other end. "What do you mean all our systems are down? What about the firewall, the backup servers?" Through the glass walls of the conference room, they could see employees running around in panic. Computer screens flickered and went black. The building's elevators stopped working. "Sir," came a frantic voice over the intercom, "we are being hacked. Someone has taken control of our entire network, all our data, all our client information. It is all locked up. They are demanding 50 million naira ransom." Mr. Dominic's empire was crumbling before his eyes. Apex Technologies wasn't just any company. They handled sensitive data for banks, government agencies, and multinational corporations. This cyber attack could destroy everything he had built over 20 years. "Get our IT team. Call the cybersecurity experts. Call everyone," he shouted. But 30 minutes later, nothing had changed. The best IT specialists in Lagos were stumped. The hackers had used sophisticated methods that even the experts couldn't crack. "Sir," stammered James, the head of it, "whoever did this knows our systems inside and out. They have locked us out completely. We might have to pay the ransom." Mr. Dominic slumped in his chair. 50 million naira would cripple the company financially, but losing all their data would destroy them completely. Just then, the receptionist burst into the conference room. "Sir, sorry to disturb, but there is something strange happening in the waiting area." "Not now," Mr. Dominic snapped. "But sir, that small girl, she is doing something on her tablet and our systems are responding to her movements." Everyone stared at the receptionist as if she had lost her mind. "What are you talking about?" Mrs. Donis demanded. "Please, just come and see." Curious, despite everything, they followed the receptionist back to the waiting area. There sat little Sarah, still in her school uniform, completely focused on her tablet. But this time, her actions were different. She wasn't playing games, her fingers were typing code. On the tablet screen, lines of programming language scrolled rapidly. And incredibly, every few seconds, one of the company's offline systems would flicker back to life for a moment before going dark again. "That is impossible," whispered James. "She is just a child." Mr. Dominic knelt down beside Sarah. "Little girl, what are you doing?" Sarah looked up with bright, intelligent eyes. "The bad people locked your computers, Uncle, but they made a mistake. They used a backdoor entry that creates a loop in the encryption. If I reverse the algorithm and exploit the buffer overflow..." She paused, seeing their confused faces. I think I can unlock your computers." The adults exchanged shocked glances. This 6-year-old was speaking like a computer science professor. "Sarah, how do you know all this?" Rita asked, bewildered. "I learned it myself, Mummy. I watch videos on YouTube and read programming books on your phone at night when you are sleeping." Mr. Dominic's business instinct kicked in despite his shock. "Can you really help us?" Sarah nodded confidently. "But I need a better computer. This tablet is too slow." Within minutes, Sarah was seated at the company's most powerful workstation. A new laptop was quickly purchased and set in place for her use. Her small hands flew across the keyboard with incredible speed. Code appeared on the screen faster than most adults could read. "She is bypassing their security protocols," James whispered in amazement. "Look, she is tracing the source of the attack." On the screen, Sarah had opened multiple windows. In one, she was dismantling the hacker's encryption. In another, she was tracking their location. "Found them," Sarah announced cheerfully. "They are in a building in IKEA. And look, they left their own system open while they were busy with yours." What happened next left everyone speechless. Sarah didn't just unlock Apex Technologies' systems, she hacked into the hackers' computers. Within an hour, she had recovered all the stolen data, identified the criminals, and even found evidence of their other cybercrimes. "This is incredible," breathed Mr. Dominic. "You have not only saved my company, you have provided enough evidence to put these criminals in prison for years." Sarah beamed with pride. It was fun, like solving a puzzle. As the police arrived to arrest the hackers based on Sarah's evidence, Mr. Dominic pulled Rita aside. "Mrs. Felix, I need to ask you something important. What about Sarah's father?" Rita's face darkened. "He left when my late sister was pregnant of Sarah. I have never told Sarah about him. Sarah has known me as her mother, and she has called me Mummy all her life. Why?" Mr. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and showed Rita a photo, a picture of his son with a pregnant woman who looked exactly like Rita. "Is this you?" he asked softly. Rita gasped. That's my sister, Grace. She died in a car accident 8 years ago. But why do you have her picture?" The revelation hit them both like lightning. Grace had been Mr. Dominic's son, David's girlfriend in university. After she died, he had tried to find her family but had no success. He never knew Grace had a twin sister. "Rita," he said slowly, "I think Sarah might be my granddaughter." The DNA test 3 days later confirmed it. Grace was pregnant with Sarah's for David, and he was told she died with the baby. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. As they sat in Mr. Dominic's office discussing the incredible coincidence, Sarah was in the corner working on another computer project. Suddenly, she looked up with excitement. "Grandpa," she called out. She'd immediately taken to calling him that. "I found something interesting. Remember those bad people who hacked your computers?" "Yes, dear. What about them?" "Well, they weren't just after money. Look what I found in their files." Sarah's screen showed a document titled Operation Tech Takeover, Phase 1, Apex Technologies. Mr. Dominic's blood ran cold as he read. The cyber attack wasn't random. It was part of a larger plan to destroy Nigeria's top technology companies and create a monopoly for a foreign corporation. "Sarah, how many companies are on their target list?" Sarah's fingers danced across the keyboard. 5 companies, Grandpa, and they are planning to attack the next one tomorrow. Mr. Dominic realized that his 6-year-old granddaughter had just uncovered an international conspiracy that could destroy Nigeria's entire tech industry. As he reached for his phone to call the authorities, Sarah tugged at his sleeve. "Grandpa, there's something else. Something bigger." "What is it, dear?" Sarah's eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and concern. "I think I know who is really behind all this, and you are not going to believe it." She turned the computer screen toward him, and Mr. Dominic's face went white as he saw a name he recognized. Someone he had trusted completely. Someone who had access to all of Apex Technologies' security protocols. The betrayal was coming from inside his own company.
Mr. Dominic stared at the computer screen, his hands trembling slightly. The name displayed there belonged to someone he had trusted for over 10 years, his own chief technology officer, Mr. Benjamin Osita. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" he asked quietly. Sarah nodded seriously. "Uncle Benjamin has been sending messages to the bad people for 3 months. Look." She clicked through several files. "He gave them all your security codes. He even told them the best time to attack when most of your IT people would be at lunch." Rita, who had been listening in shocked silence, finally spoke up. "But why would he do such a thing?" Before Mr. Dominic could answer, the office door opened and in walked Benjamin himself, whistling cheerfully. He was a short, round man with thick glasses who always carried a briefcase full of gadgets. "Good evening, sir. I heard we had some excitement today with hackers. Thank God our security systems held up." He paused when he noticed Rita and Sarah. "Oh, we have visitors." Sarah looked up at him with innocent eyes. "Hello, Uncle Benjamin. I like your laptop bag. Is that where you keep your special phone?" Benjamin's cheerful expression flickered for just a moment. "Special phone? I don't know what you mean, little girl." But Sarah was already typing again. "The one you use to talk to Mr. Chin in Hong Kong. The one that doesn't connect to Grandpa's office network so nobody can trace it." The color drained from Benjamin's face. Mr. Dominic slowly stood up from his chair. "Benjamin," he said quietly, "I think we need to talk." "Sir, I don't know what this child is talking about. She's obviously confused." Beep. Sarah's computer made a sound. "Oh look. Uncle Benjamin just got a message on his special phone. Mr. Chen is asking why the attack failed." Benjamin's hand instinctively moved toward his pocket, then stopped. He was trapped, and he knew it. "How?" he whispered, staring at Sarah in disbelief. "How did you find out?" Sarah shrugged. "You made the same mistake the other bad people made. You thought nobody would notice the backdoor you created in the system. But I notice everything." Mr. Dominic's voice was cold as ice. 10 years, Benjamin. 10 years I trusted you. I promoted you. I invited you to my house for Christmas dinner. Why?" Benjamin slumped into a chair, defeated. "You want to know why? Because no matter how hard I worked, how many late nights I spent fixing your problems, you never saw me as more than an employee. Do you know how much money your company makes?" Billions. And what do I get? A salary that can barely pay my children's school fees in London. So you decided to destroy everything. Chen offered me $50 million to help him take over the Nigerian tech industry. 50 million, Dominic. Enough to secure my family's future forever. Rita stepped forward, anger flashing in her eyes. And what about all the people who would lose their jobs? What about the families who depend on this company? Benjamin laughed bitterly. Easy to judge when you are not struggling to make ends meet. I was struggling too, Rita shot back. I came here today desperate for work, carrying my daughter because I had no choice. But I would never betray people who trusted me. Sarah, who had been quietly working on her computer, suddenly looked up with excitement. Grandpa! I found Mr. Chen. Everyone turned to look at her screen. There, in a video call window, was an elderly Chinese man sitting in what looked like a luxurious office. Mr. Chen can see and hear us right now, Sarah announced cheerfully. I hacked into his computer too. The man on the screen looked furious. He began shouting in a mixture of English and Chinese. This is impossible. A child cannot break our encryption. Sarah waved at the screen. Hello, Mr. Chen. Your encryption was very good, but you forgot to update your firewall. It was easy to get in through the old port you left open. Mr. Chen's face turned red with rage. Benjamin, you fool. You promised me this would be simple. It was supposed to be. Benjamin protested. How was I supposed to know a 6-year-old would be smarter than our entire hacking team? Sarah giggled. I'm not smarter than them. I just pay attention to details. Like how you have been stealing money from 5 other companies too, Mr. Chen. Should I show everyone? The screen suddenly went black as Mr. Chen disconnected, but not before they heard him screaming at someone in Chinese. Don't worry, Sarah said calmly. I recorded everything. And I already sent copies to the police, the FBI, and Interpol. Mr. Dominic looked at his granddaughter with a mixture of pride and amazement. Sarah, what exactly did you find about Mr. Chen? Sarah's expression became serious. He's not just trying to take over Nigerian companies, Grandpa. He is doing the same thing in Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa. He wants to control all of Africa's technology so he can steal information and sell it to other countries. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just about money, it was about national security. Benjamin groaned and put his head in his hands. I never knew it was this big. Chen told me it was just business competition. You knew enough to betray your own country, Mr. Dominic said coldly. Just then, sirens were heard outside. Through the window, they could see police cars pulling up to the building. I called them while we were talking, Sarah explained matter-of-factly. They should be here to arrest Uncle Benjamin now. As if on cue, there was a knock on the office door. Several police officers entered, followed by agents from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Mr. Benjamin Osita. One of the officers asked. You are under arrest for corporate espionage, conspiracy, and treason. As they led Benjamin away in handcuffs, he looked back at Sarah with something like respect. I underestimated you, little girl. We all did. After the police left, Mr. Dominic sat down heavily in his chair. The events of the day had been overwhelming. Rita, he said slowly, I owe you an apology. When you walked in here today with Sarah, I thought you were unprofessional. I was wrong. You raised an extraordinary daughter under difficult circumstances. That takes strength I am not sure I have. Rita smiled tiredly. I didn't raise her to be a computer genius. That is all her own doing. Speaking of which, Mr. Dominic turned to Sarah, how did you learn all this? Really? Sarah looked a bit embarrassed. Promise you won't be angry, Mummy. Rita raised an eyebrow. What did you do? Well, our internet at home is very slow, so sometimes I borrowed Wi-Fi from our neighbors. And the cyber cafe down the street. And sometimes from the bank when we go there. I used the internet to learn programming, mathematics, and computer security. Rita's mouth fell open. Sarah, you have been hacking into other people's internet. I was very careful, Mummy. I never damaged anything or stole information. I just used their internet to learn things. Mr. Dominic chuckled despite everything. Rita, I think we need to discuss Sarah's education. A child this gifted needs special opportunities. What do you mean? I mean, I want to set up a scholarship fund for her. The best schools, the best teachers, the best technology training available. But more than that. He paused, looking thoughtful. I want to offer you that job you came here for. Senior Data Security Analyst. The salary is 2 million naira per month, plus benefits. Rita gasped. 2 million. But I don't have the qualifications for such a position. Your daughter just saved my company and potentially stopped an international conspiracy. I think that qualifies your family for whatever I can offer. Sarah tugged at her grandfather's sleeve. Grandpa, there's something else we need to talk about. What now? He asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Sarah grinned mischievously. Well, while I was in Mr. Chen's computer, I may have accidentally transferred all his stolen money back to the companies he took it from. He's not going to be very happy about that. Mr. Dominic stared at her for a moment, then burst out laughing. Sarah, remind me never to make you angry. Oh, and Grandpa. Tomorrow is Saturday. Can we go get ice cream? I have never had ice cream with a grandfather before. As Mr. Dominic looked at his remarkable granddaughter and his brave sister-in-law, he realized that this was just the beginning of their story together. But first, they had to deal with the fact that they had just made a very powerful enemy on the other side of the world, and Mr. Chin was not the type of man to give up easily. The war for Africa's digital future had only just begun. 3 months later, Sarah would use her skills to uncover an even bigger plot involving corrupt government officials and foreign spies. But that adventure would test not just her computer skills, but her courage in ways she never imagined. Love our videos? Don't forget to subscribe and be part of our growing family. Thanks for the support. To be continued.